$6,000, right? So at a very conservative 2%, even if we took that same 2% over 5 years, 2% of your new value or 2% over that, so even if it was only that, so chances are your property's probably going to be worth $300,000 to $325,000 in 5 years. Now there's no guarantee of that, but remember, over the course of time, between the ups and the downs in the market, with the stock market, property values continue to go up. So if your value, even after 5 years you decide you don't want to be in a condo, you're getting married, you're finished school, you're having kids, whatever the case is, now you want to move into a house. Or say you're in a house now you want to move to a bigger house. The gap you have there between value going down and property value going up, and with the mortgages, now you paid down your mortgage $30,000 and your property value's gone up $30,000, now you've got $60,000 worth of equity. That's real hard assets. Go buy a car, do whatever you want to continue to pay down your mortgage. Before you had zero out of the $82,000 you invested, now you've got $60,000 back, if not more, because the market could go up higher. And over time, that gap gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually you've got a nice little nest egg. So let's just say, for example, you had that first time you bought that condo. And after 5 years, you want to go and you want to purchase a house. So you can either sell your condo, take that $60,000 you gained in equity, apply it towards your new house, take some money out maybe, go get married, buy a car, or you say, you know what, I want to be smart about this. I decided because my mortgage payment at $1,100, I can lock it in now for 10 years like we talked about, that payment can be locked in and you can never have to change it. So no matter what happens in the world, your payment is $1,100 a month. But if you remember the rent keeps going up, remember with the $1,500, $1,700, $2,000, that rent can keep going up. So maybe you want to become a landlord. You want to get into the investment business. Don't sell this property. You finance it, and now all of a sudden now you are in the business of renting out your property and have somebody else pay down your mortgage. So over the course of time, over 30 years, or 25 years, maybe 15 years, your mortgage is way down and you're not paying for it, somebody else's. Plus you can even make some money every month. Or you can take that money off, the extra money you make off the rent, and you can apply it towards your mortgage and pay it off faster. Great way to retire, smart way to do business. I've been living in Calgary 5 years and I have 4 rental properties. It's a great way to, that's my retirement, that's my RSP. It's a great way to do it. Have someone else pay down my mortgage, and this is one way you can do it. So you do it this way, then you can buy a new house and you're 5% down. You may even be able to pull some equity out of this house that you made that $60,000, put that towards your new house and still keep this as a rental property and have someone else pay down your mortgage. These are some of the options and flexibilities that you have by getting into the real estate market. So who wants to buy a house today? It's a great way to do it. Okay, so that's kind of, hope I get the message. So we'll go to the next slide. Getting back to buying property, you do need to be qualified, you need to get a mortgage, you need to have money. Are you ready to make that commitment and get into the market? So are you ready to buy? First question, do you have a steady income? Can you pay for it? I'm just going to reiterate what you were talking about earlier in a very condensed version. Do you have a steady income? Can you pay for your mortgage? Do you pay your bills on time? We're all talking about your credit here. Do you pay your rent on time? So all that stuff gets tracked from the credit bureau. You need to have good credit. You need to have income to do it. Do you have low to medium debt? If you have high debt, she talked about the ratios. If you have high ratios, they're not going to finance you, so you have to work on getting the ratios down. Do you have cash for closing and down payment? We talked about before, what it takes to buy. Typically, you need 5% down on the purchase price. That can come from your retirement savings, your RSP. It can come from your savings. There's some programs at some banks where you can lend you the money for a down payment, or possibly a family member. If you have really good relatives, they love you, and you need money for a down payment, they may even gift you the money to get your down payment. And that happens quite a bit with first-time home buyers that have really great relatives. I know my relatives weren't that great, but I keep pushing them to buy the next one. So before you get the money for the down payment, and you have the ability to make mortgage payments over the long term. You have a plan. If you're planning on getting married, you don't want to work, or you're going to school, you're leaving, do you have a backup plan to make sure those mortgage payments can be made, you have the feasibility? If the answer is yes to all this, then you're definitely ready to buy a house. Or a condo, you get into the property market and start making that move. And most importantly, get pre-approved before you start. Get pre-approved, get pre-approved. Hallelujah, get pre-approved. Because if you're not pre-approved, you need to know what you can buy, how much you can afford, all these things. Going out and shopping for property to get a feel for the market is just a big waste of time for everybody, including yourself. And then if you get frustrated when you find a place you want and you can't buy it because of any of these reasons we talked about. Okay, we can go to the next slide now. Talking about using a realtor to buy property. I know you had a question before about who does what. Mortgage broker helps you get financed. I'm a realtor. I'm going to help you find a property that best meets your needs. I want to talk a little bit about representation, which is called agency. You don't have to. I mean, you can do whatever you want. You can go on your own to buy a property. I strongly don't recommend doing that. Does that make sense? Strongly don't recommend it. You want to be represented. So I'm going to give you a little example of a story about representation. Because if you hire me or use me as your realtor, I'm going to I'm looking out for your best interests. I want to ensure that you're buying property very safely. We're looking at everything. That's why we have home inspectors and what the market's worth and the value of property. And all the kinds of problems that can occur after you buy, I want to ensure that's not going to happen to you. So I want to represent you, use all my knowledge in the business as being a realtor each and every day to protect you. So for example, let's just say you decide, you know what, I don't want to waste a realtor's time. And I want to start just getting a feel for the market, and I'm on the MLS or I'm on a website, I find a property, I drive by, I see a sign, I want to see that house, pick up the phone, I call, I go, hello, Daniel from Remax here. Like, hi, this is Jonathan. See, you've got a condo for sale for $313,000 in Inglewood, and it looks kind of neat. The pictures look good. What can you tell me about it? I said, great, yeah, it's got granite countertops, hardwood floors, it's close to downtown, got a great parking spot, great view. Would you want to come see it? You're like, yeah, I really want to come see that. When can we go? It's Saturday, 12 o'clock work for you? You said, yes. I said, great. And I said, do you have a realtor you're working with? You say, no. I said, perfect. Here's a chance for me to go meet a new buyer. I'm going to go show you the property. If that one doesn't work for you, I'm going to try and use a client to find something else. That's what we do. So you get there, you walk into the house, and you see this townhouse. It's got a downtown view. It's $275,000. Your mortgage broker told you can go up to $300,000. You like everything about it. The layout is perfect. I say, great. Would you like to buy it? You say, yes. As a realtor, I'm like, yes. He's going to buy that property. So we have a little bit of a conflict here. Because when you have representation in real estate, I'm representing the seller. So here I am, I'm standing over here, I'm representing the seller of the property. The seller's told me, I want you to get the most amount of money for this house, I want you to fast find me a buyer. Right? And I'm representing, looking after all their best interests. I need to look out for them. On the same side, now I've come, you come in the door, and I'm a realtor, I got to represent you. So when it comes time to the negotiation, all of a sudden, I can't give you both the same amount of undivided attention. There's a conflict there. Because as a buyer, you want to get pay the least amount of money for that house, and as a seller, you want to pay the most amount of money for that house. Some people have that perception that, they'll save money by just dealing with the listing realtor. That's not always the case, because chances are you're going to probably pay more because you can't negotiate the same way on both sides. So that's one side about being represented. The other thing is, let's just say you go in there and facilitate the transaction and do both ends as a realtor. And that happens, and I've done it before. But we can't give you the same kind of advice. When you ask me questions, what can you do? I can't tell you some stuff because it's not fair to the seller. I can't put you guys against each other. So if you find this beautiful condo you want to buy, and then part of the process is, we'll say you get a property inspection, there's a bunch of condominium documents that you need to review because you have to make sure that the corporation is all healthy. All of a sudden, we go through it all and we realize, you know what, there's a reserve fund in this condo, and it's short. It doesn't have enough money with a long term of budget of the condo there. And you ask me, Danny, it looks like they're a little short here. And should I still be buying this condo? I really can't tell you. Because if I tell you not to buy it, I put my seller in. They're really pissed off with me. It's a huge conflict of interest. That's bad. That's why it's very important for shopping for property. You want to have full representation, so I can tell you, don't buy this place. It's no good. We'll go back and ask for $5,000 reduction in the price. That way you're protected and you can buy the place and it's safe for you. When one realtor's active on both sides, you don't get the same amount of representation. So very important. And the good thing about using a realtor for purchasing your first property, whether it's a condo or whether it's a house, doesn't cost you anything. I don't charge anything to the buyer. Typically, the person selling the property, they're the ones who are paying the fees for both the listing agent and the buyer's agent. So you get all the services, everything that comes along with it, and it costs you absolutely nothing. Make sense? Good. So you want to hire a good powerful realtor. Okay, go to the next slide.